Our Jamie Yuccas is in Orlando, Florida. She was inside listening to both survivors tell their stories.
Jamie, what is some of the new information that we've learned about that horrific night?
Well, Vlad and Rena, I think when you listen to these stories, we haven't heard from very many survivors at this point in time. We heard from one other one earlier today, and he was somebody that was outside the club, and he started running away when he was shot in the leg. Today, we heard these two horrific tales of survival. Both people tried to hide in bathrooms, and I think the thing that I learned out of both of their stories is that Patience Carter was in the bathroom where the gunman eventually went to, where a number of young women were killed in that bathroom, and that was a hostage situation for apparently quite some time. We had heard that it could have been a couple hours. We had heard through officials and medical professionals that there had been a lull in time, but it appears that the situation was just excruciating for these young women in the bathroom. They heard phone calls from the gunman to 911, him negotiating with officers and pledging his allegiance apparently to ISIS is what we heard from Patience Carter that she overheard. She also heard him say that there was apparently snipers outside, that he was talking about that to officers. That's something that we had not heard at this point in time. Now, officers have told her that he could have been deranged, so we'll have to get confirmation on what exactly took place there, or what the conversations were. But I think just the amount of time that was spent and how these young women between 18 and 30 years old in the bathroom that we know of, who sat there for hours, and just the story that came out of her laying on the floor. There was a victim on top of her who apparently had died. She felt that what she thought at one point when his gun jammed, that there was possibly BBs hitting her, and it turned out that it was actually some parts of the wall falling down on her. There was an exchange of gunfire between the gunmen and the police, and when that happened, there was a water pipe that broke, and she then got scared, even though that she had survived this horrific situation with gunshots to her legs, that there was water then coming into the bathroom, and she was scared that she could possibly drown at that point. Just hearing these tales and some of the little details, we know kind of the big overall broad picture, but when you hear just the fine details of how these individuals were able to survive and what went through their minds, praying to God. At one point, Patience said that she prayed that God would, that the gunman would shoot her and that she would die, so that the situation would be over and that there wouldn't be any more shots. And then when you heard from Angel Santiago, a similar situation, he was also with two friends inside a bathroom waiting for some help to arrive. He was shot. He tried to crawl out. SWAT team members would not go to him. So I think in learning their stories at that point in time, it's unclear. Maybe the gunman was then holed up in the women's bathroom while these young men were in the men's bathroom, because the SWAT team members would not come to him, even though he was able to crawl out and wave to them for help, flash his cell phone light to let them know that he was alive. And eventually, when he was able to crawl to the SWAT team members, they were able to pull him out. Just hearing the stories and those little details and piecing it together now, you really get a true sense of how horrific this truly was. I think the stories have been heartbreaking. We've heard from friends and family. We heard from another survivor earlier today, Angel Colon. But to hear these two stories of two people trapped within that building and not being able to get help, one of which was with the gunman for apparently a couple hours, is not only heartbreaking, but absolutely horrific to hear.
Jamie, you sent us an email a short time ago as this was going on, saying there was not a dry eye in that press conference among the media folks there. She talks a lot about the survivor's guilt, which is something we don't often think about surviving and how difficult it's been. She said one of the youngest members, in fact, the youngest member, was her friend. What did she say about her friends?
Yeah, she did talk about that. Akira was one of her friends, 18 years old. She had traveled here, Patience did, to be with Akira and her friend Tiara. And the three girls apparently were here on vacation. They had just flown in. Patience is from Philadelphia. And so you can imagine she's with her two girlfriends, 18 years old, 20 years old. Patience is 20, her friend Tiara is 20, and they Google a nightclub to see where they could go out and have the most fun. Pulse nightclub comes up on their phone as 5 stars. It's the most most fun place that they can go. And she said that up until the moments the shots started ringing out, that it was like a dream. It was something out of a movie, that she was having the time of her life with her two girlfriends on vacation when this happened. So you can only imagine just how she's feeling in this. She broke down after she described her story to all of us and was crying as she was being led out of this room that I'm standing in right now at Florida Hospital in Orlando. One of the things she talks about that she feels the worst about is that when the gunshots went off, she was able to get out with her friend Tiara, and that they were able to get outside. And then they said, oh, we have to go back in for our other friend. And she feels just such survivor's guilt because it was Akira who ended up dying, and that she's apologized to Akira's mother. And she was with Akira outside. I apologize, I misspoke there. She went back in for Tiara, her friend, and that she and Akira went back in, and it's Akira who died and she who survived. So you can imagine there is guilt there. She said she talked to Akira's parents. She feels absolutely horrible that they went back inside. But as you can imagine, in a situation like this, you can identify. You're with two of your girlfriends and one of them isn't outside and gunshots are ringing out. You would want to go back and find that person. So we've heard these types of situations. I'm sure there's going to be some major grief counseling and that will have to go on here, because her story it's not the only one. As we heard even today, there's several others, and you can imagine that they're going to start wondering why they made it out as part of the 53 injured, while 49 other people died.
Jamie Yuccas with the stories. You're right, Jamie, listening to Patience Carter talking about the guilt of being grateful to be alive. Jamie Yuccas reporting for us in Orlando. Jamie, thank you.